I vividly remember the moment I wrote that check, $15,000. My signature scrolled across it as some type of promise. It wasn't simply money to me, it was a gesture, a chance to show Ava, my sister-in-law, that I had her back. She'd been talking about her fantasy wedding for years, ever since she was engaged to Miles, and I figured this was my moment to step up. Claire, my wife, had been so happy when I offered to cover the venue fees. "You're the best," she'd whispered, kissing my cheek, her eyes shining with the look I used to live for. I felt good about it. Proud. It was a family thing, right? Something you do for the folks you care about. So I handed over the money, no questions asked, envisioning the wedding day, me in a suit, Claire by my side, watching Ava walk down the aisle at a venue I'd helped make possible. That was the picture in my thoughts. But then, a few days before the wedding, everything turned upside down. It started with a text. I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone after a tough day at work, when Claire's message popped up. "Hey, just a heads up. We chose to keep the wedding incredibly intimate. Hope you understand." I read it once, then twice, because my brain couldn't catch up. Intimate? What did that even mean? I'd paid for the location, a lovely hall with chandeliers and a dance floor big enough for 100 people. I'd seen the guest list weeks ago, and my name was on it. Claire's, too. We were relatives, not some distant cousins you could scratch off to save a plate. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, but I didn't reply immediately. I just sat there, staring at the screen, feeling this weird tightness in my chest. It wasn't just shock. It was something heavier, something that made my stomach churn. I called her. I had to. "Claire, what's going on?" I asked, keeping my voice steady even though my head was racing. She picked up on the second ring, her tone casual, like she was talking to me about a grocery list. "Oh, hey, yeah, Ava just wanted to cut it back, make it more personal. Close friends only, close friends only." I almost laughed, but it caught in my throat. "I paid for it, Claire, 15 grand, and now I'm not even invited." There was a pause. I could hear her shifting on the other end, like she was struggling to find the right words. "It's not like that," she said finally. "It's not personal. Ava she wanted a different feel, a different vibe." That was what she gave me. After 10 years of marriage, after all I'd done for her sister, I sat back against the couch, the leather groaning under me, and rubbed my cheek with my free hand. I thought of Ava, how I'd helped her reset her credit score when she couldn't get a loan, how I'd co-signed for her car when she was drowning in debt, how I'd stayed up late, editing her portfolio when she was after that big job. I wasn't just her brother-in-law, I was the guy who showed up, and now here I was, cut from the guest list like some odd +1 who didn't make the cut. "Claire," I murmured, my voice low. "I'm not some stranger, I'm family, I deserve to be there." She groaned, and I could see her shrugging, rolling her eyes. "You're making this bigger than it is, Julian. It's just a wedding. Just a wedding." Those words hit me like a slap. I hung up without saying goodbye, something I'd never done before. My phone lay heavy in my grasp, and I stared at it, replaying her voice in my head. I kept waiting for her to call back, to say it was a mistake. That, of course, I was still invited, but she didn't. The silence stretched on, and with every passing minute, that tightness in my chest turned into something else. Fury, maybe even betrayal. I spent my money, my trust, on this beautiful family, and they flung me aside without a second thought. I gazed around our living room, the framed photos of us smiling, the coffee table we'd chosen together, and it all felt like a lie. I wasn't just startled anymore. I was done. I stood up, my legs unsteady but my mind clear. If they didn't want me there, fine. I wasn't going to beg. I'd given them plenty, more than enough. And what did I get? A text, a horrible text telling me I didn't belong. I walked to the kitchen, grabbed a beer from the fridge, cracked it open, and took a long sip, letting it settle. And then, I made a decision. They could have their intimate wedding without me. But I wasn't going to stay here feeling sorry for myself. I'd find a way to turn this around, to take back what they'd stolen, not just the money, but the respect I had earned. I didn't know how yet. But as I stood there, the bottle cool against my hand, I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going to let this go quietly. They'd made their choice. Now, it was my turn. I grabbed my laptop, sat down on the couch, and pulled up a travel site. If they didn't want me at the wedding I paid for, then I was heading somewhere else, somewhere far away from their drama. I scrolled through destinations, beaches, mountains, cities, until my eyes landed on the Caribbean. Turquoise ocean, white sand, a place where nobody knew me or expected anything from me. I didn't hesitate. First-class ticket, direct flight, leaving in 2 days. Just enough time to pack and get out. I hit book and leaned back. Done. I was gone. Then, I took out my phone, snapped a picture of the boarding pass, and posted it. Not invited, but definitely upgraded. I hit send before I could second-guess it. Let them see it. Let Ava see it. Let Claire and Lorraine choke on it. I wasn't holding back anymore, and this time, I wasn't looking back either. Then I turned the phone off, sat back, and closed my eyes. Let them deal with their intimate day. I was done carrying their weight. I was splayed out on a lounge chair by the pool, the sun towering overhead, a mimosa sweating in my fingers. Back home, they'd be fussing with flowers, zipping Ava into her dress, toasting to a future I'd helped pay for but wasn't part of. Here, the only sound was the splash of water and the hum of a bartender whisking cocktails around the deck. I turned my phone off last night after that last post. The beer, the pool, here's to me. And I hadn't touched it since. No point. I knew Claire would be upset. Ava might be sulking. And Lorraine? She'd be preaching about family duty. I didn't care. I sipped the mimosa, the orange juice bitter and chilly, and felt the heat sink into my skin. This was my day now, not theirs. Around midday, I strolled back to my suite, the tile cool under my bare feet, and picked up a book I'd packed. An old thriller I'd been meaning to read for months. I settled on the balcony, the ocean rolling out below me, and lost myself in it. No distractions. No, Julian, can you take this? Just me and the pages. Hours slipped by. The sun dipped lower, and for the first time in years, I felt calm. I didn't need their commotion. I didn't need their approval. I was good. Better than good. Sitting here alone, with the waves, and a narrative that didn't involve me fixing anything. Then the phone started buzzing. I turned it back on just to check the time, expecting to order room service soon. And the second it fired up, it shot off like a siren. Missed calls. Hundreds of them. Claire, Lorraine, Ava, even a few numbers I didn't recognize. My gut clenched, not with anxiety, but with wonder. What the hell was going on? I scrolled past the voicemails and found a text from Serena, Claire's cousin, the only one in that family who ever seemed to get me. You would not believe what just happened. No details. Just that. And I knew it was big. I hesitated. My thumb hovered over her name, then clicked call. She picked up on the first ring, her voice breathless like she'd been waiting. Julian, oh my God, where are you? I sat back in my chair, the ocean breeze tugging at my shirt. Still in. Paradise, I murmured, keeping it light. What's up? She laughed, short, wild. Then, the wedding's a disaster, Julian. Miles, he left, walked out, right in the middle of the reception. I sat up straighter, the mimosa abandoned on the table. What? Yeah, she went on. It was insane. They had this massive fight, Ava and Miles right after the toasts. He stormed out. She threw a vase. Lorraine fainted. The whole thing just imploded. I listened, mouth half open, as she spilled it all. Allegedly, it started small. Ava snapping at Miles about some seating thing, but it flared up fast, guests whispering. The DJ packing up, and then Miles just grabbed his jacket and left. Ava yelled after him. Lorraine hit the floor. Claire was running around trying to hold it all together. And now, Serena said, voice dropping, now they're all calling you. Claire's freaking out. Lorraine screaming, you need to come home. Ava's crying that it's your fault somehow. It's a mess. I laughed. Loud. Hard. The sound bounced off the balcony. My fault? I repeated, shaking my head. I'm not even there. I know, Serena said, laughing too. It's crazy, but they're desperate. They assume you'd fix things, like you always do. I stared out at the sea, exhaling slowly. Fix it. Of course they did. I was the man who smoothed things over, who talked people down, who paid the bills when they couldn't. And now, with their perfect day in tatters, they wanted me to swoop in and save them. I took a deep breath, the salt air filling my lungs, and for the first time in my life, I let it go. They're on their own this time.